everybody, Ben Choi or Space Meat here with my build log for the Crimson Crusher. This is number 5, I believe. So I am less than a week till WonderCon, and I'm obviously going to be cranking very hard to finish this thing. As you can see in front of me, I've actually finished most of the construction. So I didn't really film me finishing this thing off, mostly because I felt it was going to be repetitive. It was just me cutting and gluing, cutting and gluing, cutting and gluing. But in this one, I'm going to at least take it apart and show you what I did to finish this thing off, because the next phase is going to be applying the spackle to all those areas that are really like rough or screwed up on, or I just need to fill them in because there are many imperfect areas. So I guess I'll be getting that done in a bit, but I'm going to show you how this thing's assembled. So let me see. It's probably cut off at the top of the frame. I can't tell. Let me stand back here. As you can see, it's pretty damn big. You know, got the nice staff here. It's actually detachable right here in the middle. So I made it so we can easily get it to it for maintenance. So you got the top hatch that comes off, the back hatch here. There's also lights in here, which means this piece also needs to come off magnetically. See? And I haven't properly reinforced it yet, because when you saw me swinging in the old video, this stayed on. Well, the other day I came down here in the garage and just like swung this thing super hard. And apparently the force was enough to send this top piece flying, so I need to work on that. But I guess let me just go through. I'm going to just start disassembling this thing, as this way I can go over how I did it. So I guess we'll start at the bottom, or the pole. This is a nice giant PVC pipe, obviously. These pieces are still not attached yet because I still want to paint them, and I want to paint this thing. For easy transport, I've put a nice screw here in the middle. So let me, oops. None of this is glued together, so it's not exactly going to come apart well yet, because I still need to paint it, and I want to be able to remove all the pieces. So, okay, here we go. So here's the bottom. You got a nice end cap, so I can just set it on the ground at cons. This is, I think, pretty basic. Nice rounded hunk of foam. Okay. So now we're at the head, as you can see here. So this is all going to be fixed when I'm done, but you can see it's still all movable because I'm going to paint it. This area is obviously going to be wrapped in some kind of leather. It's part of the grip, the bottom area as well. Okay, so let's get to the blade. The blade is obviously going to be removable. Well, not going to be removable. I'm actually probably going to permanently glue it. But right now it's attached by a screw right here and some magnets here to keep it from wibbly wobbling, but it still is, so I need to tighten it and put more washers right about here, I think. And so in the original designs, this thing, these braces are the only thing holding up this back end of the blade. Since it's foam, it's not exactly very strong, so I kind of cheated a little and just put some wooden dowels in here. Hopefully, you know, you look at it from the side, you're not going to see it, and I don't think most people care that this is here for structural support, but I lost some game accuracy in the process, obviously. This center thing, which you saw me building in the last video, is lined with 2 PVC pipes, actually, small ones, because it's offset. You can see like there's a pipe here and a pipe here. So one runs along this edge from here, stops about here in the middle, and there's another pipe that runs along the bottom from here, and the 2 meet in the middle, and it's with tons of super glue, from hot glue. This pipe then goes into the end of the bottom pipe, and as you see, I've coated it with huge amounts of hot glue to keep it from jiggling too much or moving. So, you know, it's doing pretty well. So I'm going to start disassembling this thing, because I'm going to start doing the packaging. So the hammer is held on by 2 plastic little screws. I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me show you here. I put washers so it doesn't dig into the foam when you move it. I wanted to build this thing so that I could repair it in the field, you know, in cons, because that's when something's going to break the most. So I wanted to try to make sure I could take it apart without tools. There, see? This is like a thumb screw, a plastic thumb screw I found in the hardware store. So this way, while I can use a screwdriver to tighten it, because there is like a little, here, there's like a little notch in it. Here we go. That's probably not the case. I'm not going to have a screwdriver at the con all the time. So I decided to make sure I can detach and repair things and get to items with my bare hands as necessary. Now obviously I'm not going to do this very often, but there we go. See? The head comes detached. I guess I should have, you know, the bottom is actually a purse snap, Now, as of right now, I don't think it's actually, the per snap is good enough, because when I swung it really hard, this came detached, so I think I'm going to jab or drill a wooden dowel all the way through here to keep it in place. But as you can see, when I detach it, it just goes ta-da. So if I need to repair anything in the head, I can do that. This part, as you can see, these are also wooden dowels. Now, I'm actually debating to myself whether or not I want to keep this in one piece or not, because, you know, this way the blade doesn't wobble too much. And I mean, it's not too much of a difference. But for right now, since this blade is going to be metal, like a nice silver color, and this is not going to be, to simplify painting so I don't have to tape things off, right now it's going to be separate. I haven't made the decision yet whether or not I'm going to permanently glue it or find some way to attach it, because, you know, I kind of like, there we go, the ability, or the flexibility to repair things as necessary. So this is the core, you know, the shaft, and this is the blade. You know, I will be painting this soon. And these are the parts of the hammer. Also, you know, the more I take it apart, the more compact I can do it, the more I can pack it, you know, the easier to take it places like Comic-Con. Now, I don't think I'm ever going to take this on a plane, because honestly, the hammerhead is just taking up so much damn space. Look at all this hollow space on the inside. It's going to take its own box for me to like ship it or put it on a plane as checked luggage, and I'm not going to pay $50 to send this thing to like PAX. So, unfortunately, you're only going to see this thing in person at SoCal conventions. So, yeah, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next part, but I guess before that, so as you know, less than a week till WonderCon. So the next phase is, after this, I'm going to Plastidip, and then after I Plastidip, I'm going to prime it, and then paint it, and then I'm going to solder all the lights and stick them in there, which, you know, is, since I've got about, what, 6 days left to get all this done, I'm going to be shooting a lot of shorter video logs, but because I'm so busy doing this, you're only going to see them all after WonderCon. So all these video logs will probably pop up at some point in mid-April and be like, yay, binge watch! But for now, I'm going to film these for your benefit. As a side note, I did this experiment. Excuse me a second. So Smooth-On came out with this product recently. It's called XTC3D. There we go. It's used for smoothing, what's it called? 3D printed models, because they have all those little striations. So I thought to myself, it's a self-leveling, you know, hardening kind of plastic, you know, might save me time in terms of sanding. This is kind of for a future armor thing, but let's see. I decided to test it out on some pieces of foam, because if you've seen my old armor, in terms of like long age, like wear and tear, obviously things get worn down when you move around and things crack and bend and there's creases. So I thought to myself, if I could get like a candy coating or like a hard coating on the outer edge of the armor, it would mitigate some of that. So I did some test pieces today, a nice curve, which I did with a heat gun in case you're wondering, and just some test triangles. So, you know, it soaks into the foam pretty well, obviously, makes a coating, but I put a very thin layer, so it's still flexible, and actually, because it's a thin, crispy layer of I guess, plastic or resin or whatever, it cracked on me, so you can see it cracks as I move it. So, you hear it cracking, in fact, as I do this. This is that thin layer, and I made a crease, in fact. This thin layer is not really good enough for my future armor endeavors. You'll probably see me more experimenting with this in my next build when I start building, you know, my new set of armor for Comic-Con, but I thought I'd just talk about this, because I'm still going to be experimenting with this over the coming weeks. I was hoping to try to use some of this on the hammer, but this is not going to really work out. I think I'm going to try thicker layers of it and see at what point I get the thickness where it doesn't crack, but it's not too heavy, so I can get kind of that in between. I chose this because it levels really well, so you can see it's very smooth. Unlike if I dumped fiberglass resin all over this thing, I would be sanding until tomorrow or next week, forever. I really don't like sanding very much. So I thought, if I do this, I can just run over this with 200 grit sandpaper and be like, oh, apply primer, that's it. So, still not good enough. I'm going to work on this, but this is just a future project note thing. Okay. So, I guess I'm going to get to work. I'm going to attach the head cam again. I'm not going to do all the pieces, obviously, with the head cam. I just wanted to give you guys a general, this is how I do it thing, as usual. Now, if you've seen my previous video tutorials, you've seen this a billion times already. Well, least once. So it's not going to be anything new, but just in case you're new to this and you don't want to go back to those old tutorials, here's me doing it again. So I will give you the spiel. This is Passion Paint, my favorite premium grade, what is this thing? Drywall spackle. I like to use spackle. This particular brand comes from Home Depot, and I like it the most because it's incredibly lightweight. The can actually almost feels empty when you pick it up, but it's easier to spread. It goes on smoother, because I've tried other spackles, and while they will work for you, they're not as easy to work with. Like, they go on rougher, and like this just makes it easier, so I would just recommend using this. Also, I got my metal spatula. Safety gear. Since this thing doesn't give off fumes, I don't need a respirator today, hooray. And of course gloves, because apparently, I think this thing says avoid contact with skin, so always better safe than sorry. So I guess I'm going to get the head camera on, and I'm just going to do a little piece. Let's get started. Okay, so got the head cam on, so first things first, let's... And you know... Oh. I should have... Hang on. Well, as it turns out, I can't put these on. Okay, wait. There we go. I got it on. Okay. Wow, that was kind of awkward. All right. Let's get some gloves on. Not used to having, obviously, a little thingy strapped to the side of my head. But... Okay. So we're going to get started here. In case you're wondering why I'm down in the garage, is because Passion Paint, you know, tends to fall a lot. I tend to drop it all over the place, and I don't want to get any of it on my carpet, so I'm here where it's, you know, easy cleanup. Let me get these out of the way. Oh. And it's dusty in my garage. Oh my god. Okay, so I guess since this was always something that was giving me so much trouble in the past, we can get started on this god-awful part of the blade that I messed up on a lot. So let's get started. I think I can leave this edge in because, you know, it gives that separation of looking like it's been grinded. Okay, there we go. So I find it easiest just to use my hands, because all I'm doing is taking these hunks of Passion Paint or spackle, just rubbing them in there. I don't have to, I just want to make sure it's nice and smooth and well packed. Yeah, I'm going to come back over this with sandpaper later, so it does not have to be perfect the first time. In fact, you probably want some of it sticking out so you have room to sand, or, you know, some material to sand off type thing. There we go. Yeah, see, I'm wondering how much material I can cram into the edge of this blade here to make it look sharp. Well, we're going to find out, right? I have a lot of work to do on this, but that's fine. I mean, God, look at this gap. I just like working with this because, you know, if you use like silicone sealant, you have to inject it in there, it gets all over the place, and it's not as sandable as this stuff. This is, you know, the easiest thing to work with. No real pressure, just get it down. Of course, the problem is this stuff, once it hardens, kind of can crack if you bend it. So I'm going to look into alternate stuff, but I like the Passion Paint just because it is so lightweight and easy to spread out like this. See, I tried other spackles, and they did not, you know, spread this easily. They looked kind of rough, and it was just like, I have to sand some more. It doesn't fill these crevices as easily. So I decided just stick with what works best, which is the Passion Paint. So at this point, it looks like I'm just filling up the edge. I'm not making an actual point, which I guess for con security, maybe that'll make them feel happy, but I'm not very happy about it. I may actually have to find some alternate way of grinding this to look like a point. I may end up using, what's it called, my Dremel tool, and grinding this or something until it looks like a point. At the very least, we need as much material to work with as we can. So I'm going to fill the gaps with a spackle anyhow and see where we end up with. The great thing about the Passion Paint also is that it sets relatively fast. This should be ready to sand within 1 to 2 hours, I think, of application. So by the time I finish applying maybe to every part of the hammer, I can already get started on sanding the next part. This stuff is very, very nice. I think I've already said this in previous videos, but I guess it's worth repeating, that I've only ever found this in Home Depot, which tells me that this is probably the house brand, like Passion, or the house brand Spackle. So, you know, if you want to find this stuff, you're just going to have to go to a Home Depot instead of any other hardware store. If you don't have a Home Depot, you know, you're not exactly out of luck. Like I said, I think any other spackle will do. I've used other spackles. I think in terms of the quality, the lightweight spackle here works the best. But you know, if you can find a similar one, it'll do too. They're not trash. I just trying to take the path of least resistance here. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember this awful part I messed up. Wow, I'm gonna like just dump so much spackle in here, and then we're gonna sand this thing into a point. Wow. Oh, oops. Wow, look at all this spackle I dropped. See, that's why I don't want to do this over my carpet, because my poor carpet would just be full of solid little bits of spackle that I would never get out, and I would be very, very unhappy. Okay, I think I remember screwing this up a few videos ago and saying I will fix it with spackle. Here I am, fixing it with spackle. I do remember this part right here. I accidentally cut into it. Okay. Oh, damn, dropping spackle everywhere. So yeah, wherever you work on this, you'll want to make sure you can clean it up easily and there's like no fibers for the spackle to get integrated into. So I recommend a table. You know, if you want to do it outdoors or somewhere with like a hardwood floor or something like that, or in my case right now, a garage, that's probably your best bet to keep it clean and neat. There we go. You don't want this on your furniture, obviously. Oh wait, oops, that was the edge. Oh well, this is ugly. I should fix it. I'll fix it. Yeah. There's a lot of ugliness here. I remember kludging this and looking and making it look really bad because I screwed up so much. Oh my god, my past has come to haunt me. Okay. Oh wow, look at that huge gap. That's awful. Let's patch this. There we go. At the very least, I'm building enough material here that I can make a point. I'm going to sand this down later into a nice point. I don't know if that'll be in the next, maybe that'll probably be the next video, because I have to sand this thing and then I'm going to plasti dip. That's actually going to be in a pretty quick succession, sanding and plasti dipping, because once this thing's sanded off, it's ready for the dip. Okay. I know I was going to use the, what is it, XTC 3D as my big grand experiment. Maybe I could harden the blade or something like that. But given my current experiments, or my results with the test pieces I did today, I don't think it's ready yet, because I just don't know how much to apply. I mean, it definitely works. It works as a sealing agent for sure, but I mean, the fact that it made everything brittle and crack, I don't think it's going to work so well. I mean, it might work on the hammer, but definitely on armor where it moves around is a bad idea. So I'm gonna just, until I'm absolutely sure what I can do with that stuff, I'm not going to risk it, especially this close to a con when this piece needs to be finished. Oh, just a dimple here. There we go. Oh yeah, so if you ever find dimples in your pieces and you want to smooth it over, see, just rub some spackle in there, rub it over with your finger, and it's nice and smooth. Once you get the paint and primer on it, you'll never know there was anything there. So, I mean, I like getting nice pieces that aren't awful to begin with, you know, but if you end up with, like, let's say, those Costco pads I ended up a while ago, this will at least make it not look horrible. Okay, so, yeah. I do like keeping the lines, but maybe I'll have to just do the lines with a Dremel tool or something later. I just feel that this gap is way too big to be justifiable to make it look like a honed edge, but okay. There we go. There's a gap there. Let's fill that. Okay. Oh, whoa, top edge is awful. Yeah, the other edge is pretty rough too. I definitely am going to have to come back here with sandpaper. The rough edges seem to be a result of me trying to fix everything with hot glue, which, yeah, is going to be a little bit harder to sand than this stuff, but I think I'll manage it. At the very least, the heat of me sanding will melt the hot glue and make it smooth. Friction. Thermo, or science, ladies and gentlemen, science. Okay. So you can see, there we go. Okay. Let's clean all of this off. Okay, so I'm wondering, obviously this back edge is actually not visible to people, so I don't actually think I need to do anything with the back edge. This is going to be covered in Plastidip. Remember that area I accidentally punched through with a knife? So, but see, this gap is now filled. I mean, it's not a sharp edge, but, you know, maybe I can sand it into a sharp edge, but I'm actually wondering if I really want to or not. Last thing I need is to get, you know, draw the ire of con security with a sharp-looking foam edge. So maybe I will just leave it dull. I haven't decided yet. I'll probably find out by the next one. Or at the very least, maybe I'll ask my girlfriend. This is her hammer. Knowing her, she'll want it as sharp as possible. Can you imagine, like, I'm gonna cut you with my foam hammer? Which, you know, on so many levels just is so weird. I'm gonna cut you with a hammer. I'm gonna cut you with a foam hammer. Okay. Well, at the very least, we're gonna make this thing live up to its name. The Crimson Crusher. So, beware out there, Reds. We're almost done. Almost ready. Yeah, I'm just filling in any parts that I might have missed, you know, packing it in more, because I can see it's a little sunken in some of these areas. I just want to make sure it's nice and smooth. Wow, look at all this leftover. There we go. Yeah, like the tip definitely needs work. You had some work done? Yep. Okay. So this area also is full of ugly seams, so I'm going to fix that. I know in the original model, or at least in the pictures from the game, this area is hollowed out, but in all honesty, it's going to compromise whatever structural integrity I have left on these pieces, so I'm not going to do that. And I guess, quite frankly, you're not going to notice. Well, now that I've told you, you're going to notice. But, you know, you have to make sacrifices for functionality and realism. I mean, hell, when I wear my reach armor, I can't even cross my arms across my chest. You know. How on earth are you supposed to reload a gun? Okay. Okay, I think. Yeah, there we go. There's a lot in here. Let's make sure I smoothen it over. Okay, oops, I got way too much. Back to the container with you. Okay. Let's see if I can salvage some of the stuff off the ground. Okay. Okay. Alright, so I think that covers that. Alright, so I would say the blade is now properly spackled. There we go. So those horrible seams and edges and like depressed areas that I had when I was building this thing are now filled up. I'm going to sand it, and then we're going to see how it looks then. I may have to do a second run of spackle on some of these because I don't think I put enough deep in there. But at the very least, I'll be able to clean off this edge. But you can see when it's fully painted, it'll look a lot smoother, and a lot of the imperfections will be gone. So there's the blade. Okay. So I'm going to have to do the rest of the hammer, and obviously it's going to get repetitive because I'm just going to do this for every single gap I see. So I'm going to stop now, and I guess the next video log you'll probably see me, if not sanding, which is kind of also quick, I'll probably be on the plasti dipping phase. So, alright, stay tuned.
Stop. Hammer time.